Regret meter, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the highest, Chris, so we're on the same page. It's very important that we understand the rules here. Let's go with some of the decisions from week 3 that folks would – I probably said week 2 earlier now that I'm thinking about it. Week 3, my calendar is messed up. Kyle Shanahan on the play that resulted in Jimmy Garoppolo stepping out of the end zone and giving the Broncos a 2-point safety. Here's Shanahan on that specific decision that he made to call that play.
That was a tough situation I put him in. That unblocked guy coming. Wish we'd had time for the big play and could have ditched it. But it was a tough situation I put him in.
In a tough situation, and Garoppolo did step out of the back of the end zone. Now, I don't like the things that I've seen from people that this somehow excuses Dan Orlovsky or supplants Dan Orlovsky. Look, all Garoppolo did was step on the white line and throw the ball. Orlovsky ran through the thick of the white stripe for 5 strides before he even realized he was out of bounds. Jared Allen was pointing at him and laughing, and he still didn't realize what he was doing. Well, but, This is what happens. You got to be careful with plays like this, Chris. When you're down in your own end, you got to be careful with that.
No doubt about it. They're trying to take a shot here. But like regret-o-meter, I mean, I'm going to give it as far as like where Kyle Shanahan should be there, I don't know. I don't think it was the worst call. It's 2nd and 10 on the 2-yard line. You got a quarterback that's played 1 million games. He should know where the end zone is 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He should know. So, I mean, that's where, like, his regret meter should be 4. Unfortunately, he's got a quarterback who can do and reminded us that he can do some, like, just dumb things. He reminded us all of why they've been in the quarterback market for the last 3 years in that game. Everybody who was like, oh, Jimmy G's going to be back, we were like, oh, wait, that's why they drafted Trey Lance. That's why they tried to trade for Matthew Stafford. Some of the things he did in that football game reminded us all. So, I mean, Shanahan calls a play. It wasn't like that risky. The guy made a nice play and broke through the line of scrimmage. And then you got to be able to expect your quarterback who's played in championship games in a Super Bowl that he's not going to go out of the back of the end zone. And then what's worse is the part that didn't count. The fact that he just was going to throw it into Randy Gregory's hands and it was going to be an interception if he didn't step out of bounds. So I'm giving it a 4 from Shanahan, but maybe you have to adjust that scale when you have Jimmy G as your quarterback.
That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
It's 6. It's 6 because he's got to account for the Jimmy G meathead factor.
You're
because,
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, and I know people are going to send me emails saying I'm being mean to Jimmy G. He's a meathead.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
That's well established. Dead from the neck up, meathead, as Archie Bunker said to his future son-in-law years ago. But, I mean, he does dumb shit.
He does.
And I mean, he does. So you got to factor that in. We're going to call this play. Hey, Kyle, there's a chance that the quarterback's going to, step on the white stripe. We need to factor that into this play call. And he did. I guarantee you this, Chris, in the future, if they're in that situation, they'll factor in the possibility that Jimmy G is going to run out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, he'll have to. It's just amazing that he's got to with a guy that's played as much and then, should be very comfortable within that offense and everything. But yeah, I mean, I think you said it right. And man, there was a few other plays in the game that were meatheadish as well. We showed him. Chris Collinsworth did a great job the one time of showing Deebo Samuel running up the right sideline. I mean, that was a game plan play against the coverage and had to be the first read and doesn't throw it. I mean, So, damn. 49ers got it all. They just can't get this damn quarterback thing right, and it is the problem that keeps just giving the organization an issue.
Lions-Vikings. Dan Campbell was rolling the dice on 4th down, and it was working until it didn't. He went for it 4th and 1 late in the game. It didn't work. The Vikings got the ball back, but then the Lions got the ball again. They had a 4th and 4. They opted for a field goal. It was a lengthy try, 54 yards, I believe. Just make sure I'm right there. Yes, right. Austin Seibert, a 54-yarder. No good. Here's Dan Campbell, coach of the Lions, on his potential regret for opting for that field goal with 1:14 to play.
As far as for me, I freaking regret my decision there at the end. I should have gone for it, 4th down, and told the team that I should have gone for it. I hate it. I just hate the decision. I wish I'd have put it back in their hands offensively, and so be it, Just wish I would have done that. I regret that decision 100%. I really do, Dave. I hate it, and I do feel like I cost our team. I really do, man.
Here's what happens when you try the long field goal. You snap the ball from the Minnesota 36. You're up 3 points. You're trying to ice it, but if you miss it, the Vikings get it at the spot of the kick. That was a rule change they made some 30, 35, 40 years ago. It used to be you got the ball where it was snapped. They changed it to the spot of the kick. That puts more skin in the game for the team that's trying the long field goal, especially if there's time left afterward. So the Vikings get the ball at the 44, down 3 points. They drive down the field. They score the touchdown, win the game 28-24. And here's what I think. If Dan Campbell is going to self-scout himself. I'll say the regret meter, all things considered, and this is a broader regret meter, not just in that moment, but I think his decision in that moment was influenced by his decisions on fourth down earlier in the game.
Right.
I think it's a 9 here. And look, he's basically put it at 12 by looking at his quotes.
Yeah.
But Chris, what I think he did, and this is where you have to be very careful. I'm a firm believer in factoring analytics into all of your decisions, and that there are a lot of different factors that go into play here. But I have a feeling that Dan Campbell allowed himself to be influenced by the fact that they were converting fourth down. It's almost like the guy at the dice table, and the dice are hot. I'm going to keep rolling them, and I'm going to keep rolling them. And so he rolled them on the 4th and 1 play earlier in the quarter, and they didn't get it.
Right.
And I think that caused him to shy away from it and err on the side of kicking the field goal when he should have ignored it. My point is this. Every fourth down decision stands alone. How you fared earlier in the game on fourth down should never be considered. The circumstances now are all that should be considered. And I feel like the guy at the dice table, he's thinking, hey, how are we doing on fourth down? Oh, we're doing well. Let's do it again. And I don't think you should let that creep into your brain.
Right, I hear you. I mean, there's a lot of what I agree with you there, and maybe where I guess I'll differ. I agree. I think with your overall premises, to where, you're right. First off, individual situation, or if that's your approach for the game, then just go with it. I do think he was influenced. You're right, by the fact that he didn't get it on the 4th and 1, the drive before, and I also think he was, earlier in the game, right? The game was 14-7. They did it at midfield, gave the Vikings back, short field, 14-14 game because of that decision. But, I mean, they were 4 for 6 total, right? On fourth downs of the game. Again, if you decide going into the game, wait, this is the kind of game we're going to play and we're going to go with it because I don't trust our defense, which he probably shouldn't because it hasn't been very good in the 2 weeks, then go with that decision. To me, where if that's the kind of game we're going to play, and I know it's tough, especially when you didn't convert the last one, but hey, you're 4 for 5. You're what? We're 4 for 6 at that point. Who the hell said you were going to go 6 or 6 anyways? If that's what it is, you're still, batting a pretty nice percentage there. And I just would say ride your instinct of what you did through the rest of the game is what I guess what I'm trying to say. And then, to your point, realize that, wait, our defense, I've seen them bend before. They went down and scored earlier, in the quarter and did it pretty easily. I'm a little scared there in that situation with those players and who they got on the offensive side of the ball with Minnesota. So I'm with you. I'll put it in an 8-2 just because, I think, overall it's a tough decision, but it didn't make sense for the mantra of the game, and what they did, throughout the day.
And it was 4th and 4, not 4th and 1.
Right.
And look, I hate to think that we just regard a 54-yard field goal as automatic.
I know.
But we kind of assume a guy's going to make a 54-yarder in a dome. But the reality is they would have only been up 6 points anyway. They were giving the ball back to the Vikings even if they made the kick. That's the other side of this.
No doubt.
The Vikings still have a chance to drive down the field and win it by a point. It's not icing the game. You ice the game if you get the first down They may have had I don't know how many timeouts the Vikings had at that moment, but you're in a better position to secure the victory when you're up 24-21 if you go for it there and get it. And then the Vikings, who had the opportunity to try to do something with the ball after the Lions went for it on 4th and 1 and failed and got nowhere.
Did nothing, right?
They finally turned it around. They got it done. It just was a weird game. It felt like a game the Vikings lost. Even when I see the final score, it feels like they lost and should have lost that game because the Lions really were better most of the day. All right, here's Davante Adams. He had a better run in Green Bay by far than he's had so far in Las Vegas. The Raiders, the only 0-3 team in the AFC. Here's Adams talking about his new team's not-so-great start.
Frustrated and angry. Expect more. And, I mean, it's not easy to win in this league, so we know that, and nobody's naive to the fact that it's not, nobody's just going to lay down and just give you a victory. But at the end of the day, we expect more, and we'll do it better as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're frustrated and angry whether you were on the team for 10 years or just showed up. Everybody's frustrated and angry. Chris, we talk about this all the time. It's something you told me about years ago, how that pressure increases, intensifies in the building with each additional loss when you have no wins. And it's going to be even worse for them this week until they get that win. It's going to keep ratcheting up, and they're in the AFC West. And good luck getting a wild card in the AFC. How many losses before you're disqualified? You're already halfway to 6. 7, 8. One of those two is too many to get to the postseason. So how much regret should he have, given what he said and given where they currently are? What is his regret meter, 1 to 10, for leaving the Packers and signing with the Raiders?
Well, it is getting dicey, to your point. I mean, it is. You're right. The AFC, we know it's talented. The pressure in that building's got to be, palpable, right? I mean, it's a new head coach. That's always adds more pressure to it. You want to get your owner and the new organization that first win and kind of get off the schneid there. Like, there's two answers to this. There's the big picture answer for Davante Adams, and then right now, like the regretometer for this year, right at this moment, is going to be high. I mean, it's probably 10. Yeah, you left Green Bay, a team that's, definitely one of the better teams in the NFC. And it would be shocking if they didn't get into the playoffs and weren't like a major player that way. Overall, though, regretometer with the Aaron Rodgers situation and where that goes, I think the big picture, it's a far less number. So this year, where it might be an 8 or 9 in the regretometer, like as far as it pertains to maybe the next 3 or 4 years, I think it might, be a lot lower in that situation to where he's maybe down to a 3 or 4. But yeah, this year he's going to have to take his lumps. He is. He's going to watch Green Bay win a lot of games, and he's going to look at his own team, and they're going to be in Strugglesville for the most of the year.
I think it's low on both counts.
You do?
Because he's where he wanted to be.
Yeah, okay.
He's paid, and we're 0-3. So what? I mean, I'm frustrated and angry by the team, but my personal situation is still better. I'm with the guy that I wanted to play with, assuming Carr will be there next year. Who knows? The way things are going, who knows? But I think that it's too early for him to have any regret whatsoever about the decision he made. You can be frustrated and angry about your circumstances and not regret the decision that put you in those circumstances, because one of the risks you assume when you jump from the Packers to the Raiders is, at least in the short term, the record's not going to be as good as the Packers, and you're going to struggle to win. And it's not like they had easy games right out of the gates.
No.
So I think they'll be fine, he'll be fine, and bottom line is he got to play where he wanted to play, and he got a huge contract, and he gets to be with his old friend Derek Carr. Here's Brandon Staley, head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, on the decision to let quarterback Justin Herbert play despite having fractured rib cartilage.
He wanted to be out there with his teammates. He felt good, and he wanted to finish the game. He wanted to, give our group some energy, and we were going to protect him there at the end with really sound protection as best we could. But it was more about him wanting to finish with his guys.
Being the franchise quarterback, is there at some point as the coach you need to step in and say you already have a significant injury?
For sure. Yeah, we believe me, throughout the entire game. That's the first thought throughout the game and at the end of the game. And so, trust me, there's no one that's thinking about it more than I am.
Why take that risk then? If that's at the front of your mind and it's that important, why take the risk of having him in there?
Daniel, that was just the decision that we made, and it was about us finishing that game as a team, and it was important to us that we did it.
Now, he addressed there not just the decision to let him play, but the decision to keep him in the game when it's 38-10.
Yeah.
All hope is lost. You got a guy with fractured rib cartilage. He had some sort of a highly detailed ultrasound-guided Dr. Needle experience to allow him to play. Look, I think the regret should be a 10 for how that was handled start to finish. The decision to let him play itself, low. The decision to leave him in there, high. And I got a ton of respect for Brandon Staley, and I know in the moment when your franchise quarterback refuses to come out, you got to ask yourself, what damage am I doing to the relationship with the quarterback if I yank him out of the game and tell him to sit his ass on the bench? But at some point, there's got to be a personality on the sideline big enough to speak to even the quarterback and say, sit your ass on the bench. At some point, his ass needed to be sat on the bench, Chris.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, at the end of the game there, I was certainly one going, why have him in the game? Why take the risk? But I also think that's why the regretometer for starting him and playing him should be low, at least in my opinion, because obviously, there he was, and I think with Brandon, I mean, I'm guessing Justin Herbert wanted to really be out there and finish the game with the rest of the team. To the point where he wasn't so like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's all right, coach. Yeah, just play the backup. We're down 38-10. It wasn't like that, So that's where, we don't know that personal conversation that way. I have no problem with him playing the game and starting the game. That's for sure. Again, it's uncomfortable. We know that. It ain't going away anytime soon. I didn't watch plays or throws and go, oh, wow, he's really hurting every time he throws the ball. I'm sure it hurt when he got hit and all that. And, yes, certainly you can, aggravate it. But I understand him playing the football game. I mean, he is the Chargers. He is the go-to guy. And he wants to play. That's why we love him. He's that kind of special guy. He's going to get out there no matter what. So the regretometer to play him, I think, should be like 1. I mean, it's go time. But the end of the game thing is certainly a different conversation. But, yeah, I got to think that Brandon Staley is smart enough to know the factual findings and the things that you're talking about. And there had to be a conversation with Herbert, who was probably adamant about staying in the game and at least finishing. I would at least think so.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.